17 after 8 o'clock South African time. We're crossing over to Germany and we're going to be talking to journalist, and that, of course, is Martin Lejeune. We are going to be looking at the issue around the Republic of Nicaragua instituting proceedings against the Federal Republic of Germany and requests the court to indicate provisional measures. A very good morning to you, Martin. Welcome to the program. Where in Germany are you based, by the way?
I am based in Berlin, just opposite of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs that declined to comment on the case number 195 at the International Court of Justice in The Hague that was filed on Friday. Nicaragua, as you mentioned, against Germany. And Nicaragua filed that application on Friday, March the 1st, against Germany, and asking for provisional measures against Germany. And Nicaragua accuses Germany of being complicit in the alleged genocide in Gaza. And this is serious allegations. And as I said, unfortunately, the Foreign Office of Germany declined to comment, as well as the Chancellor of Germany declined to comment, who met the Pope Francis in Rome on Saturday, just one day after this charge was filed. And as you know, part of the population in the Gaza Strip are Christians. As you know, Palestine is the heart of Christianity, where Jesus has lived and where the first Christians have lived. And still today, there are still Christians living in Gaza. And I know that Pope Francis is trying to protect Christians in Gaza and has raised this issue towards Chancellor Scholz. But again, Scholz declined to comment on this charge in The Hague. So until now, I can give you my perspective as we talk today, but unfortunately, I cannot share with you the comments by the federal government of Germany.
So, Martin, talking about the Pope, and you raised a very, very valid issue. It seems as if the whole world has not recognized the fact that the Palestinian issue is not a Muslim issue. The Palestinian issue is an issue, a genocide on the Palestinian people, and those people are Muslims and Jews. It almost seems as if the rest of the Western world has gone into Islamic overdrive, Islamophobic overdrive. So people tend to forget that as many Muslims that are have been killed and are suffering under this genocide, there are an equal amount of Christian Palestinians as well that are suffering, have been killed, has lost everything, have lost family members, etc., etc., etc. Lest we forget that it's not just a Muslim issue. Coming back to Pope Francis, in a recent interview, he has asked for the genocide to stop. He's asked for peace to prevail, and he has said that the killing has to stop. Do you believe that now that he's met, perhaps privately, has told Chancellor Schulz that perhaps they need to rethink their position on the genocide in Palestine?
First, let me say I agree with you that Pope Francis is an advocator for peace and advocator against genocide, and he's always trying to support a ceasefire in Gaza, and he's always raising the question about the occupation. There's also a pending case at the International Court of Justice currently, right now, regarding the occupation by the Israel Defense Forces in the Palestinian territories. But beside that, as you know, the first Muslims, they entered Palestine in the 7th century, and until then, the 700 years before, there were Christians in Palestine, and until this day, as you mentioned, and they are affected by the military ongoing assault in Gaza. And as you said, Pope Francis always addressing this issue also towards Chancellor Scholz when they met on Saturday, 2nd March, just recently in Rome, and they had a long conversation that was a private audience. So they had a for eyes talk. They had a lot of FaceTime, and yeah, what can I say? That you're right. It's not a struggle against Muslims, because the Christians, they are not a minority in Palestine, as some people refer to them as a minority. They are the indigenous population of Palestine. We have to admit that, and they are affected. And unfortunately, the church, especially the Protestant Church of Germany, they are a very close ally of Israel, not referring to the Christian suffering in Palestine, especially in Gaza these days. As you know, there's a famine going on. And if I may come back to the case of Nicaragua against Germany at the International Court of Justice in The Hague, they are addressing also the famine, as Germany defunded the UNRWA, the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees in the Near East, UNRWA, a very, very important institution by the United Nations, because this is very important to mention now. Among the approximately 2 million people living in Gaza, most of them are refugees. They are not locals of Gaza. They came from all Palestine to Gaza seeking refugee after the Nakba. Also something that is not well, people are not well aware of the Nakba in Germany. But to make it very short, people had to flee to Gaza after 1949, and like I would say 80% of the population of Gaza, maybe even 90% of the population of Gaza are refugees. Again, a lot of them or some of them are Christians, and the defunding of the UNRWA does affect the people of Gaza tremendously. And Germany did unfund the UNRWA, and this is a very important point in that case to the regarding the alleged genocide and the famine. And I know that this was also a topic in the conversation between Pope Francis and Chancellor Scholz.
So, Martin, I correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I read a report on the weekend that UNRWA has been given permission to continue the funding and to continue the aid to the Palestinian people. Is that a definite yes, or do you think the talks are still ongoing? My understanding was that they were given the green light to continue the aid to the Palestinian people.
Yeah, as you said, there are still talks going on, and still light is, or green light was given, but this depends always on daily decisions, and I think UNRWA must be sure to get stable funding unregardless what is the daily position of the government of Germany, for example, because these are obligations to help refugees. Normally, there is the Refugee Committee of the United Nations, according to the Geneva Convention, but just for the Palestinian refugees, there is the UNRWA. This is a special UN body for the Palestinian refugees. So, but normally as you know, there's the other UN agency for refugees, according to the Geneva Convention. And this is just an obligation to protect refugees. And you cannot decide from day to day whether you want to protect refugees or not, because due to international humanitarian law, people or states, governments are obliged to protect refugees. And somehow this is not, they don't feel this commitment, especially the German governments, towards the Palestinian refugees. So I think UNRWA needs stable funding. Otherwise, the people are suffering, as right now, especially if I still or again mention the famine.
Okay, Martin, let's go for our first ad break. When we come back, we're going to be looking at this case by Nicaragua against Germany. And even though the German government hasn't commented up to now, I'd like you to unpack what do you believe the repercussions would be? How can Nicaragua hold Germany to account? And will this case also then end up at the ICJ, just further perhaps strengthening South Africa's stance against the illegal occupiers, that's Israel, regarding the genocide in Palestine? And of course, the stance of South Africa is that we want it to be recognized internationally that what is unfolding in Palestine is in fact a genocide. And once we get to that point, we can then further our discussions and further put pressure on Western governments as well to put pressure to let the genocide end. But all of that right after the ad break. Please do stay with us, Martin.
To something fresh. Listen to Salam Media, your humanitarian broadcaster.
Send food and send kindness to those who have lost their homes and have been plunged into poverty. For those who are a meal away from starvation, a food parcel means an entire family can eat this Ramadan. That's the power of food. Donate now to Islamic Relief.
When the perfect blend of stylish decor, exquisite halal cuisine, and warm hospitality come together, it could only mean Al Bayt Lodge, your true home away from home. Al Bayt is the ideal heaven for families, business people, and tourists, with its 4-star family rooms and other luxurious facilities. Conveniently situated close to Port Elizabeth Airport, the beach, and other amenities, your stay will be truly unforgettable, as you'll be taking home lasting memories of the warm hospitality, the serenity and tranquility that Al Bayt has to offer. For reservations, call 041 583 6415 or visit www.albaytlodge.co.za.
Our brothers and sisters in Palestine are enduring unimaginable hardships. Ashraful aid teams are on the ground, delivering crucial aid to those in need. But we can't do it alone. Palestine is suffering and they need your help. Your support can make a world of difference. Visit www.ashrafulaid.org today and donate to bring hope, relief, and healing to those who are in need.
Listen to something fresh. Listen to Salam Media, your humanitarian broadcaster.
Welcome back. It's exactly 8:30 a.m. South African time. We have crossed over to Berlin in Germany, and we are talking with a German-based journalist, and that, of course, is Martin Lejeune. We are looking at the issue regarding Nicaragua having instituted proceedings against the Federal Republic of Germany and requests the court to indicate provisional measures. We're also looking and mentioned a few other issues that's playing out in Palestine right now, but let's get back to you, Martin. Would you like to respond to the two questions I posed to you just before the ad break?
Yes, I would like so, but please let me start by saying something about the case number 192, South Africa against Israel. Germany became a so-called third party for Israel in the case 192 that we recently discussed. That means that Germany is the only state in the world that became third party pro-Israel in that case. The statute of the International Court of Justice allows any state in the world to support a party in a pending case. And the case South Africa against Israel is a pending case. And so Germany decided to stand with Israel in that case. And this happened before Nicaragua filed the charges against Germany at the International Court of Justice. This is the pending case 195, as we are talking now about, that Nicaragua hold Germany responsible for alleged complicity in a genocide in Gaza. So
Martin,
Nicaragua
can I just come in here? Can I just come in here? And I'm kind of wondering, how do the German people feel about this situation? Germany having supported Israel and are still supporting Israel under the circumstances, knowing, and with due respect to you as a German citizen, knowing what happened to the Jewish people during the Holocaust. Do you think it's some sort of trying to absolve themselves from some sort of collective guilt? And of course, we can't be holding second, third, and fourth generation Germans accountable for what happened back then in the 1940s. But I'm wondering if this is a way of ridding themselves of collective guilt regarding the Holocaust.
Yeah, there is this collective guilt still going on. As you know, more than 6 million Jews were killed by the Germans during the NS regime, during the Second World War. And Israel uses this collective German guilt to put pressure on the German government to stand by Israel in the ongoing military conflict between Israel and the Palestinian forces. So the Germans, the German population, they do not really understand the government position still backing Israel because of the collective guilt, because as you said, now the fourth or fifth generation did not commit these crimes, the genocide crimes against the Jews. These were people like my grandfather. My grandfather was complicit in the genocide against the Jews between especially 1933 and 1945. But now my generation, or even the next generation that came after me, as you said, that they were not involved. And that's why people demonstrating nearly every day on German street against the government backing Israel. For example, myself, I witnessed a demonstration of approximately 10,000 people in Berlin on Saturday afternoon, urging the German government to stop supporting military to stop military support for Israel. This was a demand by the protesters on Saturday in Berlin. And now I'm coming back to the case in Nicaragua against Germany. This is also what Nicaragua is demanding. They ask the International Court of Justice in The Hague for provisional measures, and these provisional measures shall be decided as soon as possible, as the military conflict is ongoing, to urge Germany or to demand Germany not to deliver weapons and ammunition to Israel anymore, because Israel is currently asking Germany for more tank ammunition that should be used in Gaza, because you know that Israel entered the Gaza Strip. There's a ground invasion going on, and Israel needs new tank ammunition for that. So they recently, just a few weeks ago, asked Germany for huge delivery of tank ammunition that has to be used for Israel in the Gaza Strip. And Germany is considering this request. Unfortunately, also they denied to comment whether they will deliver this tank ammunition or not. But what is also true, that Germany recently delivered weapons to Israel for 20 million euro. These were just sales that were recently made, and this is also something Nicaragua raised. Nicaragua raised this issue in The Hague, and they asked for this provisional measures first to stop the military support from Germany to Israel to prevent a genocide. And they argue with the Geneva Convention against genocide. There is the Genocide Convention. This is the case South Africa against Israel, but there's also the Geneva Convention, and this is mainly the case Nicaragua against Germany. And the Geneva Convention protects the civilian population. And Nicaragua accuses Germany of military, political, and economic support of Israel that supports the ongoing alleged genocide in the Gaza Strip. And this is prohibited according to the Geneva Convention. And Germany has to respond to these allegations. Otherwise, the court in The Hague may do the provisional measures against Germany.
Okay, so Martin, do you believe that more and more smaller countries and I do seem to see that there does seem to be an uptake of smaller countries objecting to what is happening to the Palestinian people. There are also people in their individual capacities who are bringing charges against Netanyahu, Joe Biden and other world leaders of crimes against humanity. Those charges are also, I believe, in the pipeline. Do you think that those type of charges with more and more people either threatening or bringing these type of cases to The Hague is going to make a difference and will make Israel stop its genocide and its utter madness on the people of Palestine? That's my one question. And then you referred to the situation on the Palestinian people as a famine. That is what is playing out. The people are probably slowly starving to death because the occupiers won't allow aid trucks to go through across the Rafah crossing to get much needed food and medical supplies to the people of Gaza. But in conjunction with all of that happening, we're now hearing, and I'm wondering about this madness, that the United States is now dropping food aid to the people of Gaza. Why are they doing that? Why do they not just call for the genocide to end, for the madness to end, and for the people of Gaza to try and get to some form of normality? If that, it's going to take them years and years to get back to that place of normality, but still, let the killing stop. The United States should ask for an immediate stop to the killing, not talk about dropping aid to the people of Gaza. They are complicit as well, as is Germany, because they too have supplied armaments to the Israelis.
First of all, let me say that there's a revolution in the international affairs. The global South is standing up against the West, or let's say against the states that are in control of the United Nations. As you know, there are some veto powers in the Security Council that have the strongest influence on international affairs. You cannot imagine 20 years ago that South Africa is pressing charges against Israel in the International Court of Justice, or that a very small state as Nicaragua is putting a case against Germany at the International Court of Justice. I think that wasn't thinkable 20 years ago. So now really something is going on, something new, what I define as a revolution, that the small states, the global south, is doing something against the strong powers in the world. And I think this is a huge challenge for states as the United States of America or Israel or Germany, that they now are being held accountable. And nobody did that 10, 20, 30 years before. And I think this is a very difficult moment for these states. It's something against impunity. Impunity was granted for those powerful states for decades, and now it's in question. And the other thing is that not far away from where I'm sitting, there's a museum dedicated to the US Air Force that dropped also food by air to people starving in Germany after the Second World War. And I find it astonishing that even as we speak, also the US, they drop food by air over the Gaza Strip to the starving population of Gaza. As you said, instead of demanding the famine to stop, the alleged genocide to stop. But of course, as we know, the United States are still an ally of Germany, not as close as Germany, but still an ally. And still they are doing humanitarian aid that is very much appreciated by the people of Gaza. But on the contrary, there must be regular access of food trucks, of humanitarian aid to the Gaza Strip, and that has to be granted. And right now it doesn't work. From time to time, Israel occasionally let food trucks or humanitarian aid pass into the Gaza Strip. But as you know, a few days ago, there was a massacre next to a food truck.
That was handing out aid. That was
aid.
absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
That
Martin, we've got to leave.
And this doesn't need to be happen and happen again. If there is enough aid and food for the people in Gaza who are starving, who are in need, you cannot fight against the whole civilian population of 2 million people. This is not right according to the Geneva Convention, and this is the heart of the case of Nicaragua against Germany at the ICJ in The Hague.
Martin, that's where we're going to have to leave it. And I think that America is probably playing politics by dropping food aid to the Palestinians. They are in an election year, so I think Joe Biden's going to get hurt. He's not going to get the numbers from a lot of ordinary Americans because they're not happy with his support of Israel. But be that as it may, I'm sure we are going to be talking at length at sometime soon. Thank you indeed for your time. Much appreciated. And you stay safe and God bless.
And thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Lovely talking with you. That was Martin Lejeune. He is a journalist based in Berlin, in Germany, talking about the ICJ case concerning the application of provisional measures between the Republic of Nicaragua being the applicant and the Federal Republic of Germany being the respondent. Standing by to talk with us is Mr. Pule Monama. We are going to be looking at the Integrity Commission recommendation excluding corruption implicated heavyweights in the upcoming elections, and not a moment too soon, I might add. Please stay with us.